everybody, welcome back to Warcraft Brew. This is episode 11. My name is Quissy.
And I am Pasta Face.
And we're really happy to be back. Sorry it's been a few week hiatus. I know things were pretty busy with the holidays. We had Christmas and then we had New Year's. And then I feel like we needed a week just to kind of recollect ourselves and get back into a routine, because I feel like the holidays just throw everybody
They mess you up. They really do mess you up, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, we've kind of just been like I said, focusing on getting back into a routine, creating good habits for the new year. I've been trying to eat healthier. Well, we told you guys we were counting calories, so I'm still counting calories.
Me, not so much. I mean, I was like, okay, all right. I got to bring it back for a second, because you have constantly mentioned that I have the eating habits of a 12-year-old.
You do.
And a couple months back, I wanted to see, okay, am I at least hitting a calorie count? And sure enough, I am. And if I didn't change anything, if I just kept eating like 3 Choco Tacos a day, like just keep doing what I'm doing, I would actually lose weight.
Yeah, like with all the candy and junk food and ice cream that she eats, she still wasn't eating enough calories to like maintain her weight. So I don't understand. I always say, I don't know how you're not fat.
An app scientifically proved that I would lose weight. You know, so it just goes to show you Taco Bell is healthy, and I would fully endorse it, or be endorsed by it. You can tell that I have not spoken for an elongated period of time for over 3 months, because I am just so goddamn rusty at this. However, we have finally brought in or reintroduced brew during our Warcraft Brew.
Yes.
So that could be a little something too.
So cheers, everybody.
Hell yeah, cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Because Pasta might have pregame just a little bit.
So in case you're wondering what we're drinking, we got some Harpoon Winter Warmer Cinnamon and Nutmeg Holiday Ale. Speaking of the holidays, it's pretty good though. It's to me it tastes more like a Halloween or like a fall beer than a Christmas one.
I know, and it's just those spices, cinnamon and nutmeg. That's like what you would use in a pumpkin pie, and that's all you taste during Halloween.
That's why it tastes like fall. Mm-hmm. But yeah, things are going well, I would say. We're making healthy habits, drinking beer. Don't worry, it's going towards the calorie count, okay? Don't worry. I've been going to the gym a lot.
I have too. I've been joining you.
Yeah, we've both been going to the gym.
The scary thing is like what I've been noticing, especially being like Big Bird and turning the same age every year. So I will never age older.
Me too.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I will never age older than 25.
Yeah,
but
right.
Once you've had 3 cycles of 25, it just never goes up anymore. You just keep going downhill, like your health, like everything, especially your cardio health.
Oh,
so
right, yeah.
What I've been noticing is like I just climbing up the steps, I get like really out of breath.
Yeah.
Doing simple tasks in a martial arts class that I used to be doing umpteen years ago, that was like nothing to me, I can't do anymore. And that is mildly terrifying. So going to the gym and doing that little cardiovascular workout for 45 minutes, I gotta say, I do see a drastic improvement. And if that's what I have to do now, just turning 25 over and over and over again for multiple years here on after, if that's what I have to do, that's fine.
I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, like you guys have heard us talk about. We do Taekwondo. We started a few months ago. I got my orange belt. I don't know if we had that on podcast. I think at the last podcast I was talking about getting my orange belt.
You're talking about your promotion?
Yeah, so I finally got my orange belt.
Yeah.
Really exciting for those of you who don't know. She's a black belt, so she's going for her 2nd degree. But doing like cardio in between the taekwondo has really helped. So we're gonna keep up with that. I'm trying to shed, those extra holiday classic WoW pounds, and it's going pretty good so far. Fingers crossed. It's been about 2 weeks, so hopefully we can keep this up. We need your encouragement, so
Hell yeah.
Keep us motivated.
Yeah.
But a couple of other differences, changes that you guys might notice if you're watching this or listening on YouTube. We have video for this episode for the first time.
Hell yeah.
Well, not the first time, but
we're bringing it back.
We're bringing it back.
We're trying to, at least.
Yeah. We want to up the quality a bit. We want to just keep improving the podcast, and we're very receptive to feedback. And I think something that people had been requesting was bringing back the video. So here we are. We hope you enjoy it. Open to feedback as well on that. But yeah, we're just always trying to find ways to improve the podcast. And speaking of that, I know we joke about it a lot.
Oh boy, here it goes.
But
here we go.
We finally made a Patreon. Okay. Diamond tier Patreons get our premium Snapchat. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm serious about the Patreon. So we finally made a Patreon. There's a lot of equipment that we could use to upgrade the stream. Maybe you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hello everybody. So, in particular, it's just like around audio equipment. So it's a little janky, and I've written blurbs about this too. So I'll say it here, and if you do visit our Patreon page, you will be able to see the little blurb I write for each one. But right now, we're just recording audio through my HD camera, and that just increases the post-production time just to a ridiculous amount. So there is a rather small audio recorder that I would like to purchase, which will help post-production tremendously and really reduce the time it takes to edit the podcast and get it to you. And then I also want to do some soundproofing too. I'm halfway through looking at equipment that I do think would be beneficial. If you could donate to it, great. If not, then okay, cool. That's totally fine. I guess you're not going to be able to see our Snapchat.
Yeah, but yeah, even just viewing and listening is great support.
I really do want to make it clear that we're not just using your money to buy cool equipment. I want to write a little segment for each and every piece of equipment that really describes how big of a positive impact this is going to have on our content.
Setup, yeah.
Yeah. So so again, I really do want to make that clear. That's a very big deal for me, because any sort of production, video production, audio production equipment is not cheap. So I'm going to try to stress and make it very, very clear how we are going to use this equipment and why.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
And maybe some of it will go towards the beer of the cast. I don't know. We'll see.
Again, hey, production ain't cheap, so that's
right.
all I'm saying.
But yeah, we'll have a link to that in the description of the video. It's patreon.com/Warcraft Brew. So it's new. We just created it. So like I said, we're just getting it up and running. We're open to feedback on that as well. Okay. Anything else that we want to talk about? In our intro.
Yeah,
this
I know.
is the intro.
I was gonna say, has it been 10 minutes yet?
It's exactly 10 minutes.
Yes!
Yeah, like we're almost exactly 10 minutes.
Yes.
You know. Whoa.
Okay.
Another thing that we could use with Patreon is to commission a professional artist to create nice artwork for the podcast. And that's something that like we've really wanted, but it's not cheap, and we want to pay somebody for the full value of what their artwork is worth. We don't want to lowball an artist, and we want to have like really nice artwork for the podcast and the channel and everything. So yeah, that's just another example of where your Patreon contributions would go towards. So thanks again in advance. All right, so we're gonna just jump right into Classic. Classic. What can we say about Classic? What's been going on with Classic so far? I just released a YouTube video actually, discussing some of my thoughts with Classic. I feel like there's been a lot of negativity surrounding Classic lately. And I guess you could say that there's always been a lot of negativity surrounding Classic, because there's always people complaining about something. And I guess this goes for everything in life. There's always people complaining. Ever since Classic has been announced, there's been like the hashtag no changes group. There's been the people who like don't mind changes if it's for the betterment of the game and the experience, and then there's everybody in between. But I feel like just lately it's been very negative. Like a lot of people are just like, I guess, not happy with the current state of the game. Me personally, I'm fine with the way Classic is right now. I'm actually still having a lot of fun. And I think it's because we made alt characters. Now, yes. If I was still strictly playing my main character, my level 60 paladin, I think I would be really bored, because there's not much to do for me right now. I'm not ranking. I don't really need gold for anything right now, so I'm not really farming as much. I'm a little bit farming for gold. But other than just raiding once a week, it's kind of like a waiting game.
I know for a fact if I was locked into my warrior, I would have quit World of Warcraft Classic.
Wow.
And I'm just it's so sad for me to say that, and I really do want to make sure I'm getting my point across and treading lightly with how exactly I phrase something, because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, or I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression with what I'm saying. But I found out the hard way, because I completely chose my warrior. I am not blaming this on anything else. I fully accept my choices in World of Warcraft and what I did. And I am solely explaining my experience right now and how I feel about it. I found out the hard way that a warrior class is a little difficult to play catch up with. So especially if I have a job that will pull me away, and I do have to travel for that, playing catch up, coming back and being behind everybody else who had all that time, and I had 2-3 weeks of downtime of having to focus on work, coming back to that and being 2 or 3 weeks behind everybody else, you feel that. And that is so discouraging and so frustrating too for the warrior class, because really, if you are under-geared or under-leveled, it's really like a rock versus a warrior is going to lose every time. No matter how skilled you are, I'm sorry, it is very difficult. You are almost putting yourself behind the 8 ball in those regards. And so gear is very important for a warrior class. It is a very gear-dependent class in World of Warcraft. Cool. But there is a certain endgame content where the warrior class is dependent upon PvP gear. And if you don't have that PvP ranking to earn that PvP gear, you're going to feel that. And so I feel like, because I don't have that gear, I don't have that time to grind, I feel like that gives my guild and my group the wrong message of that I don't really like this character, I don't spend enough time on this character, or I don't really care about this character.
Well, I think you summed it up pretty concisely. Warriors are very gear dependent, and if you're not grinding constantly to try to get, every single piece of gear that you need to get, the pre-raid bis, the raid bis, it's very challenging. And like something like Lionheart Helm, right? That's like your helm for the frickin' entire classic or whatever,
right.
or until phase 6, I don't even know. Grinding for that's a grind in its own. To come up with the materials, the gold, it's pretty expensive, and then you gotta hopefully know somebody who could craft it, or else you're charged up the wazoo for the crafting fee. Devil Sore, like that was I think those were other, like that's another cost. Getting Hand of Justice, that's a pre-raid bis for you, and a raid, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to get if you don't have a dedicated group that's willing to farm with you.
Right.
The Savage Gladiator chain chess piece, the epic one, that's really difficult to farm as well.
Right.
We've tried farming these.
Which, again, I want to stress, grinding something out isn't what I have a beef against.
Right. Yeah, we're fine doing that.
Right. It's just I feel like every little thing adds up, and every little thing counts when it comes to being a warrior. And once you have like 5, 6, 7 things adding up, you really feel that, and it's very discouraging to play that character.
Yeah, I mean, it's been challenging, and another thing about warriors is that in Molten Core, there's only like a handful of items that a plate DPS can utilize.
Right.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if you have it memorized, but aren't some of the bis gear from Molten Core for warriors like leather?
I could look it up.
And like...
Mail.
Yeah, the Savage Gladiator chest is mail.
Mail. Leather. The wrist guards are leather.
Wrist guards, what are they? Wrist guards of
Stability.
Stability, yeah. Those are leather. Okay, that might be what I was thinking of. Everything else, like... There's only a few items I feel like you could get in Molten Core, whereas other classes have it a lot easier. Look at me as a paladin. I freaking, there's loot that I could use off every boss, basically, as a healing paladin.
But you still have not seen the Judgment Pants. I'm so sorry. I know that's a really sensitive topic, but you gotta find comedy in it. That we have had 2 eyes drop. Eyes of Ragnaros drop.
Yeah, the sulfurous.
Yeah. Yes.
We've had 2 legendary drops before I've seen Judgment Legs drop off Ragnaros. It's turning into a meme. Like people send me screenshots of Judgment leggings dropping off their Ragnaros.
Somebody had 2 leggings, right?
Yes.
2 leggings at the same time.
Yes. Nif's Raid had 2 Judgment Legs drop. He sent me a screenshot. He was like, "I'm so sorry." I was like, I'm crying IRL.
I'm getting tested.
And then like I'm in town and every frickin' paladin I see has tier 2 leggings. I see these like paladins in all greens and they have their tier 2 legs. And I'm like, why? What have I done? I bet you my druid is gonna get their tier 2 legs before my paladin does.
Okay, you can't say that because druid gear drops everywhere in that raid.
Yeah, I'm gonna get like a million pieces of gear.
Constantly.
Yeah.
So it's either druid gear or warlock gear that drops constantly. So
All
you
the
you can't say that because it's definitely going to happen.
It's because it's definitely gonna happen. I'm saying it. Like it's a fact. So I'm just saying it because I know it's true.
Where I'm coming from is druid gear is more common. So you can't do that to yourself, and you shouldn't do that to yourself.
It is more common, right? People who are listening, tuning in, prove me wrong that you do not see Warlock and Druid gear all the time. That the Druids and the Warlocks in your gear get raided so quickly. Now, granted, I think that is because there tend to be fewer of those classes in the raids. Like in our raid, what are there, like 3 druids?
Not even, yeah.
Sometimes there's 2, whereas we'll have like 7 rogues and like 7 warriors, 7 mages. So it's like, 7, that's our guild name.
7, 7,
Hey.
7, 7, 7.
But yeah, so I think that plays a factor too, but still. you know, the loot has been so funny. People tell me these stories of drops that they've been waiting for weeks that haven't happened. Max finally got his Eye of Divinity. Did I tell you that?
Oh, cool. No, I didn't know.
So our buddy Maximos, we met him at BlizzCon, actually. Shout out to Max and Princess Turt. Max was waiting to get his Eye of Divinity. He's a priest, from Majordomo's chest. For 9 weeks in a row, the leaf dropped. So from the chest, there's a 50-50 chance that you're going to get the Eye of Divinity or the leaf. It's not like the tier 2 legs with Ragnaros, where like, how many classes are there? 8, 9, whatever. So
I'm sorry, I love that there is proven a 50-50 chance. And for how many weeks?
9 weeks in a row.
9 weeks in a row?
You drop the leaf. That's like flipping a coin like 9 times. You call heads and it lands tails 9 times in a row. That's basically what happened there.
Which sounds pretty difficult to do.
It does. And he finally got his eye.
Yay!
So,
all right,
congrats,
cool.
you know.
Congrats.
Judgment Day will be soon. I'm feeling it.
The day of reckoning is at hand.
I knew it was going to be 2020. I knew I wasn't going to get my legs in 2019. But I'd love to hear, like, anybody who's listening, I'd love to hear your stories. Is there any piece of loot that you've been waiting for that hasn't dropped in a million years? Does your raid have a funny trend with loot? Where, like our raid again, we've gotten about 15 mage blades. Like, we just have more mage blades than we know what to do with. All our casters have mage blades. We started giving them to paladins. Probably gonna start giving them to, like, rogues next. Like, who knows? But, like,
I just want to do this just because I know it'll piss so many people off. I want a mage blade just to sell it.
Oh, vendor it.
Yeah, just to vendor it.
Oh, goodness.
And I want to film it, and I want to post it, and see what kind of shit I will get.
Vendor it and then log out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've just had mage blades for days. It's been funny. But yeah, it's so interesting to me how loot works like that. Like, certain raid groups have their trends.
I don't know, man. It's just really funny.
It is.
It's just so funny. And that is really why I raid and I log on every week. Not just for, like, the 2 pieces of warrior gear that I could get, but 1, if you'll get judgment, and 2, if the mage blade will drop again.
It drops every week.
It really does, honest. It has.
It's been insane.
But I do have to say, if it weren't for the marvelous adventures, my accent came out right there. If it weren't for the marvelous adventures of Moisandra, I probably would have given up on Classic.
Wow.
And for those of you who don't know, Moisandra is an alt rogue of mine, an alt gnome rogue, and oh wait,
she goes fast.
I go fast. The funny trend with the Moisandra is her helms are just very ugly and
derpy.
Yes, very derpy.
What are with the leather helms, the leveling leather helms that are just so ugly, like so derpy? Like, you just got a new helm last night.
Which I could log on right now. I have been so sleep deprived recently. I slept for like 12 hours last night. I don't remember a damn thing before that. Mm-hmm. So I got a new helm.
Yeah.
I have not really seen how it looks.
Yeah. You didn't equip it or something. You just got the quest reward. I looked it up when I handed in the quest to see what it looked like. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised that it's more derpy. It's derpier than the last helm that you had on.
The only thing that awoke me from my hibernation last night was your cackling over how this helmet looks.
It's fabulous. It's just fabulous.
By golly.
I'll play an overlay for those who are watching on YouTube. I'm gonna play an overlay like right now, showing you guys what the helm looks like on Moisandra, so you guys can understand the hilarity. But we've just been having a blast on these characters, and I gotta say, I think for me too, this kind of saved Classic for me. because leveling these two characters is what Classic means to me. We're taking our time, we're having fun, we're going on adventures, side quests, we're helping people. We're not like in a crazy rush to get to 60.
Right.
And
professions, that's a big thing
professions, we've been maxing our professions, we've been making money.
Ah, yeah.
We got her 2 gut rippers. Yeah, she has a main hand and an offhand gut ripper, which is an epic dagger. It's just been so much fun, like just taking our time with it. And I think that is one of the quintessential problems that people have had with Classic, is that they went in guns blazing, like a sprint. To me, Classic is a marathon. It's 6 phases. You gotta pace yourself for it.
Well said.
You can't just rush through all the content in 2 weeks and expect not to get burned out. And that's what I feel like a lot of people did, or at least maybe a lot of content creators.
It was a lot of people in the spotlight, and
yeah.
It gives off the impression of, because they're on camera and in the spotlight so often, it gives off the impression that a lot of people did this. Which we found out as soon as we went to BlizzCon, that wasn't really the case. There were a lot of people who, at the time of BlizzCon, have not even reached level 60 yet.
Yeah.
And I think that was really eye-opening for us, that there were some people playing Classic, in my personal opinion, how it's supposed to be played.
Yeah, absolutely. So like blasting through the content in a few weeks and like just going balls to the wall into it, you know, as much as possible. Like that's not how the game is intended to be played, because think about it. Back in the day, we didn't have access to the information that we have now.
Right.
We didn't have everything mapped out, everything data mined, everything, just no surprises, right? Back in the day, everything was a surprise. Everybody was learning. We also had shittier computers, so the game ran a lot more poorly. The game ran poorly, sorry. As poorly as my grammar, too.
Don't worry, you can edit that. They won't even know.
Yeah, they don't know.
They don't know.
But, yeah, it's like these adventures that people went on back in the day, doing side quests, helping people, leveling professions. Like, when we leveled our 2 original characters, we skipped professions until we were like level 45, because we were trying to rush through the content and get to 60 as quickly as possible.
Right.
And when we realized we weren't having fun, we were like, holy shit, like, what's the purpose of Classic if you're not having fun, enjoying it, just being happy, being back in that world?
Yeah, I had one of those moments where I was like, holy shit, I've become the thing I hate.
Yeah. And now, like, I don't want to bash people who do play the game hardcore and like are big into min-maxing. Like, I feel like there's a special place for players like that, like the top tier players of Classic. But I feel like more casual players or people who aren't hardcore shouldn't have to feel like they need to abide by those expectations where everything has to be min-maxed, everything has to be optimized. I think it should be the opposite. Like, unless you are competing in a top-tier guild, you're speed-running, you're min-maxing everything, you really should just try to take your time with it and enjoy the content and not rush it. I've heard so many people's stories on my YouTube channel commenting, and just so many stories of people like, oh, I rushed the first 2 weeks, I got burnt out, but now I'm back and I'm taking my time and I'm having a lot more fun. And I think that sums up what Classic has been so far. Take your time with it and you'll have more fun.
Just have fun.
Have fun, yeah.
Just have fun.
Just have fun.
It's that simple. And if you have fun min-maxing, do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you could still min-max, but don't feel pressured, don't feel obligated, you know? And if you're in a guild too that puts that pressure on you and you're not comfortable with that, or you don't have to deal with that. Like, you can find a guild that meets more of your standards of gameplay.
Hell yeah, dude. It's 2020. If you're unhappy with something, you have to change it. Right. And you're the only one that really can change it. You're the only one that's really in charge of your own happiness. hashtag real talk. Somebody in a live stream once said, like, I should have, like, low-key been a school counselor.
Oh, you?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I just have real talk sometimes. You're in charge of your own happiness, dude. Like, if you're unhappy with how your guild is, or just really how you're playing the game, you gotta change that.
Yeah.
Short and simple.
Like, we've been waiting for Classic for, what, 2 years? It's finally here.
Well, like 15.
Yeah. It's finally here. And just, like, hearing... It's kind of, like, heartbreaking in a way to hear people who are looking forward to it just be like, oh, it's not what I expected, you know, I'm not going to play anymore. You know, it just, like, it saddens me in a way.
Right.
But that being said, I do think, in my opinion, that Classic is doing... I believe the numbers in Classic are doing a lot better than retail.
Right.
I don't have hard evidence of that, though.
No,
But
I mean...
I've heard, like, you know, whispers, people on, like, forums, people on Discord, people on Reddit talking about that, and you never know if it's factual.
I mean, it's sort of safe to assume in a way, just because that's what everyone is really talking about as of the past couple of months. Or really, since Classic has been released, just that's what everyone has been talking about. So it's safe to assume that if everybody's talking about Classic, Classic is doing very, very well. And I don't know if you want to dive into this point now, because we usually separate Classic and then retail. Mm-hmm. But the 15th year anniversary mount, you waited until the last day, and I, for like weeks, months even,
every
was
day,
like, hey man, this is a really cool mount. Like, people worked really hard on this mount. I honestly think you should put in the time to get it on your main character in retail. And you're like, yeah. And then that would be the end of the conversation. So then the last day I was like, dude, we gotta do it.
I had no choice. I had to do it. It's the last day. But that was pretty eye-opening to me because I had not played retail in like 4 months.
Right. Nor I. I just logged in every now and then just to collect some bee honey for the bee mount, or jelly, I think it's called. I don't know. It's been a while since I've even done that too. I still have not gotten the bee mount, by the way, but I did try. The attempt was made. But yeah, it's been a while since I logged on to retail as well, until we had to get you that mount recently.
Yeah, and I gotta say it was very daunting. Like, there's just so many more buttons, so many more spells, so many more abilities. I forgot I had certain abilities. I forgot I had Beacon. I forgot I had like it's opposite in retail, like Flash of Light for Paladin is what you spam in Classic. Flash of Light in retail is very costly, so it drains your mana quickly if you're spamming that. So like I was all over the place. Let's just say it was a little difficult.
You were doing a great job.
Well, thank you. I mean, you top DPS boomkin over here.
I pressed 2 buttons. That's what it is.
Hey, sometimes it's 2 buttons that you need to master.
Sometimes I press 3.
There you go.
That's my secret. But no, it's very overwhelming, the amount of spells that you have, and certain dots that you have to maintain, or even if you're diving fully into retail content, mechanics too.
Mechanics are insane compared to Classic.
Crazy. Which I'm a fan of when it comes to raid bosses or even dungeon bosses.
And I'm not a fan of.
Right. So
I think it's just too much.
It is, but I think it adds an element to storytelling. And, oh God, I've been in Classic so long, I've forgotten the Ashara raid name, the official name, the Eternal Palace.
Eternal Palace, I guess.
So the Eternal Palace, I thought, did a very good job at utilizing their trash mobs in a way that would subtly teach you the mechanics of the upcoming boss just before you reach that next boss.
Yeah.
And I just think it really adds to the whole experience of the dungeon as well as storytelling.
Yeah, I liked that too. It's kind of like, this mob will put a dot on somebody. If it's not cleansed, he's going to blow everybody up. And then you go to the boss and you realize that the boss does that ability. So it's kind of like a mini version of the boss's mechanics that you learn along the way.
And it doesn't matter what skill of player you are. You could be casual, you could be that crazy mythic runner. Doesn't matter. That benefits every sort of player, which I would love to see more of in 8.3. But I haven't really done a lot of research on the 8.3 raid, but I really do want to jump back into it. I just haven't talked to our retail guild since Classic has come out, and I feel so awkward just being yo, I ghosted you for like 4-6 months, half a year.
They knew we were going to play Classic. We told them. We were like, hey, we're leaving to play Classic. You guys know this. It's fine.
But no, it was definitely a really eye-opening experience of, wow, there is so much. There are so many spells. Like, every class has a disengage. Every class has
like a self-heal of some kind.
Exactly. A heal, a battle res, everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think...
It's
I would like to see going into Shadowlands, I would like to see some of those go away. And I would love to see, and which I got the impression of during their presentation at BlizzCon, I would love to see them bring back class identity. And if that means taking away certain spells for certain classes, there is always going to be a backlash no matter what. You're not going to please everyone.
Right.
But I genuinely think, it's my personal opinion, that is really going to benefit World of Warcraft going forward.
I agree, and you just reminded me of, we attended a Q&A panel at BlizzCon with a couple of developers, and it was a Shadowlands Q&A, but we tried to weave in our classic questions every now and then, and our buddy Melderon from Def Camp in Melderon, he had asked the devs what kind of inspiration did they draw from Classic when developing Shadowlands.
Badass question, by the way.
Really good question.
Yeah.
And it was funny to us because we feel like the devs kind of brushed off the question a little bit. They were like, oh, well, we made the decision that we were going to squish the level to 60 before Classic came out. And then they just kind of like moved on to the next question.
They didn't really answer his question either.
They didn't, yeah. And of course they took inspiration from Classic, because as we just mentioned earlier in the podcast a few minutes ago, if Classic is indeed doing a lot better than retail, you gotta go with what works. Right. Why is it that Classic is so successful?
Right.
What are these key elements of Classic that they can extract and use going forward?
Right, hone in on those skills and proceed forward with that. But I want to be very clear. I do not want to create any drama of the retail group hates the classic group of developers. You really have to think about it that at the end of the day they're the same team. They want everything to do well. So don't even start with that shit. Just don't, because it's not true.
Yeah, we're not on that train either, retail sucks.
Right.
Classic sucks.
Exactly. I love World of Warcraft. We love World of Warcraft. Whether it be classic or retail, it's World of Warcraft. We love it.
Right.
End of day. That's it.
Yeah, of course. And it goes back to what you said. You want to see more of that class identity come back in Shadowlands. Right. And if they do indeed take inspiration from Classic, I think we will see more of that in Shadowlands.
Right.
But of course they took inspiration from Classic. They had to have.
You can't not, because, again, Classic came first. Vanilla WoW came first. Yeah. So all of that is already laid out for them. Of course you did. I'm sorry. I love all of you. But if it's there, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's already there and existing, of course it influenced you.
Yeah. And it doesn't help that BfA has in my opinion, been received very poorly
I
by
know,
most people.
which upsets me. It really does.
I mean, we want the game to do well.
Right.
We really do.
Right.
But yeah, I think the fact that BfA, I don't want to use the word tanked, but did not have an overall good approval rating, as you would say.
I think it genuinely did suffer from the times that it was in. I think a lot of things, especially Classic too, in a way, it was just in a time where everybody loved to complain about something.
Yeah.
It didn't matter about what, but everyone just loved to complain and bitch and moan. So I think it really did suffer in those regards. But you gotta really think, those raids were really well done. I love those dungeons.
I thought the raids are great.
I love the environments. They are gorgeous.
Oh, the world is fantastic.
The music is just above and beyond, dude. Just crazy good.
Yeah. So would you say, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
The art departments, the design is there. In every expansion, I would say that.
They always knock it out of the park. And seeing little teasers of what's to come in Shadowlands, you could tell they always bring their A game. Everybody, and I don't mean to say that other departments under World of Warcraft don't bring their A game.
Right.
Everyone does. It's just some are a little bit more obvious to see than others, or easier to see than others.
Yeah, and so the art, music, design, they always knock it out of the park. So that's not the issue. I guess the issue is more of like the core gameplay mechanics. Is that
right?
I guess.
I mean, if we're comparing the two, if we're comparing retail and classic right now, let's say in classic, because I roll the warrior first. If I was locked into that warrior and I knew that there were similar mechanics all across the board, no matter which class I rolled, similar to what's in retail, there are certain differences.
Yeah.
But more or less everybody really has enough spells to be like the same. There really is no difference between classes anymore. If I knew that warrior had the same shit that my rogue currently has, I'd be like, no, I'm not playing this. I'm just done with World of Warcraft altogether. And that's, I think, what's tripping everyone up in retail. There's just no class identity anymore.
Yeah.
Why? Part of World of Warcraft 2 is our alts.
Uh-huh.
You know, that's part of the gameplay. If you reached a character to 60, you've done everything. You've gotten all the gear. That's great. Now do it again. But this time a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's that class identity that again makes World of Warcraft what it is. At least I feel. I keep ending with like I'm going to say something else. But
well, that could be another thing with retail, is that creating an alt could be kind of daunting, because then you have to get that to level 120 and learn all these abilities and all these different, spells that have different names and different descriptions, but kind of act similar to like what you have on your other character. You just have to learn oh, this is similar to my speed increase, so let me put that in the same hotkey or keybind that I use my speed increase in. And that's another thing with the Shadowlands, going back to the level squish, is they want to make you feel rewarded again for gaining a level.
Right.
Right now in BfA, it's a face roll, like getting to 120.
Right. Especially with all those holiday seasonal buffs.
Oh,
whatever.
God, yeah.
They're great. Again, it's just it's
fun.
It's fun, but it proves that is daunting. That one task of leveling an alt up, leveling any character up, is daunting. It's daunting so much that they have to almost give you an incentive to do it again.
Yeah.
So I talk about this constantly, so sorry about sounding like a broken record. But I came back in Legion. And in Legion, I rolled the Druid for the first time. I really had no experience to a Druid prior to Legion. And now it's my retail main. But in order to catch up to you and in order to do the mage tower or like certain transmogs I wanted to achieve during the life of Legion, I had to get to 120 as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And I was totally on the train of just fuck that, dude. I'm gonna, like, I have the money right now. I'm just gonna buy a 120 boost.
Yeah, okay.
So I did. And I had like an instant regret moment because that's when the training wheels are yanked off of you.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, dude, thank you for your money. Here's everything. Have fun. And it is so overwhelming just being like, I have all this power. I don't know what to do. What does this do? What does that do? And you feel even more useless than when you started out with like half those skills or half that power. And you're just like, shit, man. I just did a bad thing.
Yeah, you feel guilty about it.
You do feel guilty.
You're like, oh, I took the cheap way.
Yeah.
Well, it's not cheap because you have to pay for it.
No, yeah, it's like, oh God,
Right.
I don't even want to.
It's very daunting. It's very daunting.
So daunting. But yeah, just talking about that just made me rethink of just when I boosted myself to 120. It is so daunting, that power that you get.
Don't do it.
So yeah, don't do it.
Well,
but then at the same time, if they do squish everything to 60, and maybe they do reduce some spells or bring back old spells to recreate or reignite that class identity, I think that would give people an incentive to potentially, like, all right, you pressed for time, you want to join where your friends are,
Yeah.
boom, here you go,
Pay
you
to
have
win.
this option.
Yeah.
And don't get pissed off for business doing business things.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
that's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole nother thing.
People getting pissed off
Yeah.
because Blizzard's trying to make money.
Right.
It's a business. Like,
Right.
businesses try to make money. That's what they do. They have to make money to survive.
Right.
Like, maybe this is a topic for another podcast, maybe, but
Right.
like, it is kind of annoying when people like harp on them for like doing things that every other business that also does.
Right. It's
Everything.
Yeah,
Starbucks, Apple.
right.
Verizon. I don't know.
I think that definitely should be a discussion for another day of, yeah, like why do people bitch about this?
Yeah. They need something to bitch about.
And that's why
I
I think,
think-
yep,
Yeah.
it was just that time of like, it was hip to bitch about things.
And also, like, if your favorite content creator is on Twitter bitching about something that they don't like, their followers are going to kind of, jump on the train a little bit and be like, oh, I don't like this either. This is bad.
He's my favorite. I don't question anything he does. Therefore, I'm just going to go blindly into this opinion. Great, dude.
Imagine that.
Wow. Good life choices right there. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm going off on a tangent. If you want to hear me bitch about people bitching, please comment down below and I will definitely tackle that in the next podcast.
Yeah, we're open to ideas too, like what you want to hear us discuss on future podcasts as
right.
well. What else have we got to chat about?
Do you want to dive into what we would do if Burning Crusade potentially came out?
Yes, this was on our topics of things to talk about. This is probably going to be a longer podcast, but you know what? We haven't been here for 3 weeks, so we might as well keep it going.
Hell yeah, start off 2020 with a bang, my dudes.
That's right. Cheers, everybody.
Hell yeah. Oh, dude, I am powering through this. I'm like, I think I'm going cross-eyed. Like, what's in this?
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Thank you.
Yeah, TBC. I mean, we don't have to talk about this for too much. We could save it for next time as well, but we wanted to kind of talk about the potential that TBC could have if they decide that they are going to do a classic TBC or a legacy TBC. I don't know what they would call it. TBC returns.
TBC classic.
You are not prepared. Yeah, TBC classic, maybe. And you know, like, you see people talking about it and teasing it, and it gets you thinking, like, yeah, maybe this could be a thing after Phase 6 of Classic, after we've all gone through Classic and everybody's settled down, everybody's cleared Nax, you know, until there's no more loot to get. Like, what's the next steps? One option that people talk about is a Classic Plus, which is basically like adding more content at level 60, which I wouldn't mind, but I don't see it as realistic because I think that would, you'd have to dedicate, I feel like, a team to work on that. And what if it's not good? You know, whereas...
Right.
Well, okay, I think what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of, like a handful of level 60 content in vanilla WoW that never actually made the game. So for me, a Classic Plus would be not so much them creating new content, but reigniting the content that never made the game.
I would love to see that. I absolutely would love to see that. I think that is such a great idea because it's content nobody has seen before, whether it be 15 years ago or now.
Even though the idea existed, and there are even some places in the game where that content was supposed to be, but it just never made it.
Yeah, they plotted places. You could actually visit those places, but it was never officially added to the game. I think that is an absolutely great idea, but again, that only has such a long shelf life. So what happens after that?
Yeah.
And I don't know, dude. I think if Classic is doing very well right now as it is, I think
we are fairly confident it is.
If you're fairly confident, then why not?
Why not BC?
Why not BC?
I think BC would arguably do better than Classic.
Oh, wow.
Here's my reasoning.
Okay.
Well, here's one example. I have a bunch of friends I used to play vanilla with. Several of them tried Classic and stopped playing and like went back to retail or something. And I'm like, well, what was it? You know, like why didn't you continue playing Classic? And one of them was like, well, that's just it. Like the Classic is Classic. The classes aren't balanced. There's certain aspects of the game that just are the way they are because it's Classic. It's not going to change.
Right. There's only so much to Classic.
Right.
Okay.
There's a lot of like quality of life things that didn't exist in Classic that were added later on. So on and so forth. Burning Crusade, we received a lot more class balance. More spells were added to the game between 60 and 70 to kind of help a little bit with the class balancing.
Right, not enough to be overwhelming, just enough for, again, that quality of life.
Agreed. So a lot of things with like balancing, they added a few more quality of life improvements, as we mentioned. But a big thing for me, too, that I think a lot of people would be interested is the implementation of Arena.
Mm-hmm.
Classic, I feel like a lot of people have been voicing their opinions, like, hey, it would be cool if Blizzard released a tournament server or some kind of way where people could like officially duel each other in Classic. I don't think it's gonna happen, but in theory, that would be really freaking cool. But in BC, you can duel people. I'm pretty sure can you do the skirmishes? I'd have to double check this, if you can do the skirmishes Arena.
Or comment below, because...
Yeah, let us know in the comments. Yeah. Let us know. But the point is, like, Arena is huge. Arena was a massive addition to the game that is still massively popular in BfA. We have the World Championships at BlizzCon every year. We have people who just gladiators every expansion, every patch, every season. They're a gladiator, and I feel like that would be appealing to a lot of players as well. Just the implementation of Arena.
Right.
Another thing I like about BC, since we're on the topic, is the addition of heroic dungeons. We have heroic dungeons in BC, which adds another layer of difficulty and challenge to a certain instance. and also the badge system. So when you complete a heroic dungeon, I'm pretty sure it's just heroic, I'm going off memory and it's been a while, that you get a certain number of badges from completing a dungeon, like a currency. Ooh. And then you could use that currency to purchase gear, upgraded gear.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I love that system, and that's something that a lot of people were very outspoken about. I almost sounded Canadian there. Outspoken.
Yeah.
Outspoken about in BfA, and I feel like the devs actually listened, and then they added in those vendors that, what was it, you could buy like gear pieces with a certain currency.
Right.
That was added to BfA eventually, and I feel like that was based on user feedback. So that BfA is kind of where that originated in its full form, in a way. But there's so much about BC that we can talk about. I think it's a strong possibility. Like we said, if Classic is working, if Classic is doing well, like you said, why not?
Right. Why not? And I would even go as far as to say, why not the Holy Trinity? Why not?
Yeah. I've said it from day one, like the Holy Trinity would be great. Release Wrath 5 years down the line.
Right. That's what everyone still talks about. Those 3 games. Everyone still talks about them.
Yeah.
Why not?
The glory days.
Yeah.
Which is funny because like with Wrath, I feel like that's when the game really started to change and evolve into kind of where it's at right now. It was only the beginning, but you did start to see those changes in Wrath that I feel like negatively impacted the game as the years have gone on, where it deviated away from that classic feel with class identity and core abilities, and kind of like gave everybody this cookie cutter build in a way where everybody, you know, like we have nowadays. Everybody has a res, everybody has a movement speed or disengage, everybody has a bubble of some kind. There are just like certain mechanics that were implemented in Wrath that really changed the game. That being said, I think overall, Wrath probably has the strongest story out of all of the expansions. So
hands down,
yeah.
Absolutely.
And I would love to see Wrath.
Yeah. To experience all that over again, why not?
I never got to raid Ice Crown Citadel.
Oh wow.
So
yeah, the whole thing is too. I was a very, very, very casual solo player, so I would come in for the new expansion, do what I can, and then leave. I never did any of the dungeons in BC or Wrath. Same with the raids. So if those came out again, I would absolutely love to experience those for the first time finally, and again continue playing my classic experience the right way.
Yeah. And you know, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves talking about Wrath, but even BC, like I was talking to you about this off stream, off air, but the character I played in BC, I started fresh when it came to BC. I rolled a Blood Elf Priest.
Right.
And I would just love to experience that again, starting fresh, making a Blood Elf, going through the Blood Elf starting zone is one of my favorite zones. Like the music, the scenery, that would be a really fun experience.
I think I'm gonna stick with a rogue. I don't know what race of a rogue, but my question to you, and it's probably just me wanting to selfishly hear this and be reassured by this. So if they do release a BC server or a BC Classic, do you want to start out hardcore, racing to 60, or do you want to thoroughly enjoy it?
I want to thoroughly enjoy it.
Yes! All right, cool.
I am done with trying to play hardcore, trying to race and be the best. I would hope we can kind of emulate what we're doing on Grobulus right now with our Druid and our Rogue.
Hell yeah.
I'd still like to level at a decent pace, you know, but want to have fun. I want to do professions. I want to enjoy it. That's our heater, by the way. That's making that noise. It always makes a cameo every cast.
Every cast.
It's like, has Belle made a cameo?
think
know
so.
where Bella is.
Oh, she usually takes like a monster dump and then like walks away.
Yeah, she took a dump like this afternoon, so we dodged that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, BC, I'm just saying I'd like to roll Horde. If you are attached to your gnome rogue, I would consider staying Alliance.
Damn, I didn't even think of that.
I would consider staying Alliance.
Oh, no way.
Not to put any pressure on you.
Oh, God. I was
But-
not expecting that.
You were not prepared.
I was not. I was not prepared. I mean, if we're going to start from, like, ground, like, just
Yeah,
back
start
to
from
zero
yeah.
again, yeah, I would roll Horde.
Okay. Well, here's the thing, too, is if they're going to do BC, again, this is all if, this is in theory, we're just, having fun here. I think what they should do is give people the option to either copy their level 60s over from Classic to a BC realm. I don't think they should upgrade the Classic servers to BC. I think they should leave the Classic servers alone as they are, and then give people the option to port their character over and start out in the Outland or start fresh on BC. What do you think about that?
Right. I think they should do that. I don't think that's necessarily going to be easy to do.
Well, I don't know. They do that with the PTR. You can just copy your character there, and
yeah, you're
I think it's easy
right.
to just copy a character.
Okay. Because what I always try to keep in mind is there is a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't know.
Yeah.
And including like the capabilities of what can be done. So just because we think it and just because we think it's a good idea doesn't mean that it could necessarily happen. They could try their best and try to program it.
Yeah.
But if it can't happen, it just can't happen.
No, yeah, absolutely.
But you do bring up a good point, and they do it on the PTR. So, yeah.
Well, we'll see. Again, we're just throwing these ideas out there,
Free of charge.
free of charge. And you're hearing it here first. My prediction: if BC is going to be a thing, it's going to be announced at Blizzard 2020 this year.
Oh, hell yeah.
So keep an eye out, guys. You could quote me on it. I'll be replaying this clip if that happens. January 1st, January 9th, 2020.
I'm just, that would be great, dude. I'm just still really excited for Diablo 4. Like,
Diablo 4, yeah.
Yeah, getting to play that. Oh my god. And oh my god, dude, if we get to play some of
BC
like,
at BlizzCon?
yeah, oh
I
my
know.
god,
and
dude.
you know the way they're going to announce it, too. Alan Brack's going to go up there and be like, you're not prepared. And he's going to roll. And then you're going to see Chromie again, probably. And
I hate Chromie.
So these are our predictions.
Wow, dude. You might as well just hire us to go on stage and just be like, yo hello,
Blizzard.
everybody.
Blizzard.
You are not prepared. Okay, bye. Thousands of people. Hello, social anxiety.
We should wear hats. You are not. Yeah. Oh, man. Fun times, though. But again, don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. I'm looking forward to BWL.
Yeah, there you go. Yes.
Looking forward to BWL coming out, hopefully in another month and a half. So we're still very early in Classic, guys. We're not even phase 3. About, what did you say? Midway through phase 3 would be halfway through Classic.
I know, and I feel like it's part of that rush culture and just simply part of already experiencing Classic that makes everyone just so anxious to get more.
Well said. Perfectly said. Yeah, I think you're right.
That rarely happens with me.
No, I have nothing to add to that because I agree completely.
But yeah, I think nowadays we're always in the in the mode of instant gratification, which Classic was not built around those times. So Classic was not built around the era of instant gratification. So we should not hold it to satisfying like everything, like, oh,
Yeah.
we need this now, we need that, oh, I would love to see this.
Because when you do that, which has been done in the game,
Right.
it dries up quickly.
Right,
It
right.
gets boring.
Gets stale.
Gets stale.
So please be gentle on Classic. Enjoy it during its entire process,
Yeah.
because you will miss it when it's gone.
Oh my, that got dark.
Yeah. So has been proven for the past 15 years. You will miss it. So be gentle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hitting the nail on the head
Yeah.
right here. Well, that being said, again, we are playing alts on Grobulus. If you have a character on there and you want to join us, the guild is open invite. Tuna Tornado is the GM. The guild is called Tribe, and you can message Quissy on there, and I'll invite you to the guild. If you gotta be cool though. If you're not cool, I'm gonna kick you.
Hell yeah.
If you're a dick, we're kicking you out. You gotta be cool, man.
If you're a dick, prepare to get kicked.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh man.
8.3
8.3 is coming out next week. I have that as my last bullet point.
Yeah. I know we're going long, but
Uh-huh.
we have officially received patch notes around 8.3, which I currently have up on my computer right now.
Okay.
And we can go through
Visions of N'Zoth.
Visions of N'Zoth, dude.
Okay.
I'm really excited for this, and I think there's great potential here in planning retail content and classic content, and where there's a little lull in retail, classic will blip up, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I think there is great potential to be had there with cross foot traffic. So I'm very eager to see.
They do that strategically.
They
too.
do, and again, you have to. It's just, it's kind of common sense and a really good business move.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm really eager. I do have to say, just quick glance, looking at these patch notes, I'm really eager to dive back into retail.
People are getting triggered that pandas can be death knights.
I love that, dude. I love that.
I know.
I
love it. Like, it just sounds so silly, but it's
is.
like actually in lore that makes absolutely no sense. But it's just funny. I don't know. It's hilarious.
I think it's really cool that I could be a dead kung fu panda. Like,
Doing the Lich King's bidding.
finally, dude.
But you know, there's some cool things coming out, like what the allied races.
Right. And again,
Volpera.
you're never going to be able to
Necrodome.
please everyone, but they are pleasing a certain crowd, and they do listen. So
Yeah.
good on them for taking action on that. We are going to have Corrupted Zones right now, bringing back new content to older zones. So we will see Corrupted Zones in Uldum and the Vale of Eternal Blossom, which I'm pretty excited to revisit any Pandarian content.
Oh yeah, and Oldham is from Cataclysm.
Right.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Bringing back old zones. Maybe they took some classic inspiration from that. I don't know.
I think it's just cool. You already have all these zones just laid out for you. It would be very nice going forward into the whole retail expansion of whatever may come in retail to always revisit those areas. Great storytelling, in my opinion. The new raid is, can I pronounce this? Ny'alotha.
Yeah, that's probably how I would say it. The Waking City.
The Waking. I read that as the Walking City. Which would be cool, too, if there was, like, a city or a dungeon on, like, a giant turtle god's back, and it would keep moving. Anyway.
That actually sounds awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, like, that would be a raid boss in itself. The actual city.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Whoa,
right?
Whoa. You're blowing my
Right?
mind right now.
Yo, I'm up for hire, Blizzard. if you want like me to write anything, I would.
Both of us. Please.
Yeah, both of us, please. So, going into the raid, where nightmares dwell in Ny'alotha, the Waking City. Okay, cool. So it's gonna be a 12 boss raid, set in the void-shrouded heart of the ancient, Black Empire.
Ooh.
Cool.
There's going to be a race to world first for that, obviously.
Right. When's the date for that?
January 28th. I saw Method post on their Twitter that their stream is starting January 28th. I don't know if other guilds are doing it again. I don't know if Red Bull is. I haven't seen any announcements, although I haven't looked for them. But that's the date, I guess, that Mythic starts. Well, maybe for EU, I guess.
Right.
We'll have to look into that. But, we always like watching the world first raids. They're exciting.
Yeah.
And it's cool seeing, like, the process and the reactions, too.
Right. And now there's a certain element to it that has been added with, I believe 8.3. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But 8.3 is going to be the patch where you could only receive the max level gear from Mythic, from the Mythic raid.
Oh, right.
Not
Not can't
Mythic
get it
Plus,
from Mythic Plus.
Not PvP. It is solely the Mythic raid. Which I think would add another element to the race to world first. Which again, I'm kind of excited for, and I think it gives players more of an incentive to attempt the Mythic raid.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry to cut you off.
No, not at all. I cut you off. But yeah, no, it's just the way to achieve the highest level gear in the game.
Right, and I feel like it's things like the race to world first that puts Mythic rating up on like this pedestal. So if you're a normal player like anyone else, you feel, oh my gosh, now I definitely can't achieve that. That's something that's just such a high skill cap that I will never be able to achieve that in my life at any point, even on a good day.
Yeah.
But I feel like that gives people more of an incentive to, hey, maybe you all want to try this out.
Yeah.
Sorry,
requires a lot.
It does definitely require a lot. So I have not done any research on any of these bosses, which I think there are some guides out now to the bosses.
Oh, does Hazel have her videos? You know, Hazel usually...
Yeah. Hazel, I don't know if Hazel created her videos yet, but I think Fat Boss has.
Okay. I think they usually base their videos off PTR content, and then they'll release another one once the actual game's out, if anything's different.
Okay.
Hazel usually does it strategically. Like she'll launch it like in the days coming up to the launch. So maybe she's waiting.
Right. Both of those content creators, are very good viable sources for upcoming boss details.
Because as we mentioned, they are very detailed.
Yeah, crazy detailed and entertaining to watch too.
Yeah.
So even if it makes no sense, regardless, if you watch them, you are definitely going to have a good time.
Hell
so
yeah.
Shout out to both of those. Okay, so I see new affix or affix or ethics?
Affix? I don't know. Awakened.
Right.
Players will discover obelisks throughout the dungeon, which will pull players.
Okay.
Wow, to the Shadow World?
Okay, side conversation right now.
Okay.
How do you pronounce that? Obelisk?
I think it's obelisk,
or obelisk?
Oh, I say obelisk.
I say obelisk.
Oh.
Is that wrong?
Or ah.
Ooh.
Oh, shoot. Listen, there's a lot of grammar experts on YouTube, so I'm sure they'll let us know in the comments below how to properly pronounce that word.
Hell yeah, dude.
They don't let anything slide. Anytime I pronounce something wrong, I know about it in the comments.
Meanwhile, they always use the wrong form of your.
Oh, I hate when people do that.
They always use the wrong form of your.
The grammar
Pay
police.
attention. Yeah, they never do the right one.
Yeah.
Which is always exciting to see and to catch them on because you could throw it right back at their face so easily. Anyway.
A lot of new mounts. There's a Darkmoon Faire arcade. We got to check that out.
Ooh, I didn't know about that.
Holiday updates, achievements.
There are horrific visions that are going to happen
Is that like a world event?
Retail. Yes, they are world events for up to 1 to 5 players. It gives you a glimpse of the twisted future N'Zoth has in store for Orgrimmar and Stormwind.
Ooh.
That's cool.
Okay. All right.
I wonder what you could earn from those, which they don't really dive into.
Well, the patch notes are out, so if anybody's interested, just do a little Google search for it, guys. You'll find it. There's actually
Go to Wowhead.
Go to Wowhead. There's quite a lot of patch notes here, so we're not going to go through all of them. We know you guys care about Classic anyway, so just kidding. I mean,
it's just World of Warcraft in general, dude. Like, we all should just care about World of Warcraft. That's it.
It's nice seeing new content constantly being released, and hopefully this trend will continue. Like we said, into BC, maybe into Wrath. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but hopefully if momentum keeps up, we could keep playing WoW and seeing new releases or re-releases for a really long time.
Right. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Whew.
As always, if there's a topic you would like us to discuss on the next podcast, or even just a simple brew you would like us to try for the next podcast, please comment below or tweet at us. I am the Pasta Face, and you are
Quissy TV on Twitter. You could also use the hashtag Warcraft Brew when you tweet, so we'll be able to see it in both ways. But yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. We hope you enjoyed this new format.
Hell yeah, thank you for your patience too. I feel like a lot of shows do have that end of the year holiday time hiatus, so but always thank you. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for tuning in.
Absolutely. You could find us on all our socials listed below. As we mentioned earlier in the podcast, we just released a new Patreon. A lot of cool incentives for you guys as well if you do become a Patreon, Patreon exclusive things. So be sure to check that out to learn more. Patreon.com/WarcraftBrew. And
we have a couple of t-shirts too. So
yeah.
if you would like to support the channel and visibly support the channel, especially at the next BlizzCon too, please check out the t-shirts that we do have available.
Mm-hmm. And that's about it, guys. Yeah, thank you so much. Let us know what beer we should drink next week too.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
All right, we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for all the support. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.